Welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. I guess it's welcome to me because I think this is home for a lot of you. You've been here for the many classes. Headmaster, he's fired the basa, Anne-Marie, but it's okay. We're all here to learn. And I passionately think that this is a conversation we should have been having like 50 years ago. You know, I think it's not a 9 to 5, it's an 8 for some, a 7 for some, a 6 a.m. like some of us to 5. Actually, sometimes there's no end. But what we're trying to say is that job that you do, the everyday thing, the thing that I wouldn't say covers you, because clearly that's why you're looking for something else. But that thing that you do, some of you are in jobs happy, unhappy. You know, you're using the company time and data to apply for another job, but we're not going to go. That is a whole other conversation for Headmaster for another day, but welcome. And then I also have, for this sandwich, a quality assurance expert. Currently, you're the head of quality assurance at Nearest. Yeah. I looked at it as, okay, Nearest, you're a global leader in catering and in-flight services. So yeah. I would have asked you which flight we have been on that year, but we might not. Yeah,
a couple of them.
A couple of them. Yeah. Yes. You are a strategist as well, business strategist actually, a mentor. Yeah. Because I think you've got a product as well for that particular thing. But what I also know you for is that you are the founder of Edel Optics. I was singing to you about how my ears need fixing, my eyes. Sorry, my eyes need glasses because I can barely see. I've turned those people who have to drag a paper close to them. So well done. Reagan Kawuma, how are you?
Excited to be here.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so I don't think we're close to the age of getting our money out of NSSF, the three of us.
Not even close.
But we're obviously saving with NSSF, the three of us. Now, I know that the corporate world, some are not even in the corporate world as we call it, but there are people who constantly complain that what they make, I'll bet to say that I think even us three here have probably said it at one point, if we're being honest. Yeah. At one point, not in the current jobs we have, those ones are perfect, but at some point we've said that sente tezikola, you know, and that begs the question that even Headmaster hinted on that will money be enough? Do you know what I mean? That is it going to be enough? And there are people who are on two sides, that they believe you can actually use your 9 to 5 job to accumulate money that can take you to wealth.
Yeah. Yes. And two-way. Okay. Because if you're earning the salary that Apollo spoke about, the one of 500 million per whenever, it's very possible. Yeah. But if that is not your case and you're an average Ugandan, like some of us, you can still use your 9 to 5 to be the starting point to build what you need to build, because we have to start somewhere.
Exactly. So some accumulate to then build the side hustle.
Exactly.
Some accumulate for the passive income somewhere and different. So I think mine is a unique one. I've never had it until now. I've never had an in quote unquote 9 to 5. I've had 4 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours, and that's it. Sometimes twice a month. Sometimes. So I think mine has been quite unique, but I would still mentally regard it as a 9 to 5. Yeah. Some of us, the nature of work we've done over the years, you earn sometimes large sums of money in one go, and then a drought. Yeah. And then another chunk of money where now the discipline comes in. So from where I sit, it's possible, right? Then, so just from the industry or the sector that I've been in, then I come down to now saying the discipline, right, is down to the habits, you know, how you keep the money. Because even the person with, let's say, 1 million shillings a month, I mean, I've seen that firsthand, where that person has a home, is feeding the children, they're going to school. Then you, who's probably earning 5, you're in debt, you know. So what I know is that less money, more money, it's down to habits. Yeah. But I also go down to the passion. You're very multi-passionate. You know, I guess all of us in one way or another. And that's why she's saying that, yes, I'll deliver at my job. I'll come, I'll earn, whatever. This is also to fuel me to be able to do my job. Now, I'm the one person who believes business is not for, business in the sense of business is not for me. But career, you can close my eyes, I can sleep, and I will, that ladder doesn't even exist. So strengths, right? And I have tried over time to get out of the 9 to 5 and go through the side hustles, sort of the business. And I always find myself, you know how you're at work, go looking at the side hustle. Me, I'll be at the side hustle, looking at the work. Oh. So, and I think there are people like that who know, because they've had Flavia, Brenda, and Reagan say, get something on the side and build. We force ourselves to get out of the 9 to 5 to go and build a business we won't sustain, we won't manage, we have no clue to do, we have no passion for, just to make that extra income. So I'm more of the school of thought of what's in here. Can you monetize it? So I could sit in the office, even if it's for how many hours. The other day I was doing a Zoom to teach on personal finance, and that's a source of income. So for me, I'm more of the side of, it doesn't have to be goods coming in from China. Let's open ourselves to that. The wealth journey must include you first. What can we monetize on you and what you do to make you that income, and then have the side of business, which is why I'm glad it's the three of us, because that's different angles to it. So I'd looked at a couple of things. Intentional financial planning. I want us to start there and not just directly going straight into it, because I could have the side hustles, I could have the 9 to 5 and not know how to intentionally plan. Because you see, when we say finding your wealth path, wealth is a
journey.
It's a journey over time. What are things that, just generally, you must be intentional about as you build wealth, as you plan for financial freedom, whether you're still just in the 9 to 5 or planning to even venture out? What are those? And there might be even things that are so obvious, small and so obvious. They're not obvious today. Let's say them. Even you in your journey, as you've been intentional about planning for your finances, what have you looked to, as even if it's as obvious as possible?
The question that was speaking to, are there things or particular thing you need to have in place for you to perhaps start this or succeed at this? And it took me to a study I was reading when I think I just starting the eyes business, the ideologics. In between then, I was just finishing my master's degree, I was working and all. And this study said that at the end of every year, about 83% of working professionals in Uganda, part of their goals is to start something. Wow. Many of them, because at the end of the year, you realize, okay, I think it was all vibes and inshallah. I think I need to up my financial game, my incomes. So you find many of them, the majority will put that as part of their goals. But also this study showed something very interesting. Less than 12% of these people actually get to start anything.
We say we want to start.
You even have it written down.
I must make money this year.
This year, I swear.
I should.
To change.
I need to change. I need to start.
It's high.
But that is only 12%.
Per requests, it's up there.
Starting
something. But less than 12% do so. And I went deep down to read through that study. Why? And I noticed the things that tends to frustrate these people or actually hold them back are things that actually Apollo has also hinted on, such as the fear to lose the stability, excuses of I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time. People will just say I don't have enough time. But again, at the end of the day, for me, it came down to this one thing: people not being deliberate enough to make these decisions. It's never easy. You will never earn more, actually enough, because we always think, I need to earn more than I start. But that's opposite. You actually need to start to earn more.
Money makes money.
Money makes money. So you need to be very deliberate to say, okay, this is it. What do I need to start from where I am? Of course, if a business needs 100 million, you're looking at it wrong. You can always start whichever.
I shouldn't find all the 100.
Exactly. There's no business that you need to start, from my experience, where you cannot start with something small. It's always possible and always within the means for you to do so. So you have to be deliberate. That's one thing I've always learned. And many times I want to start something. I'll procrastinate. I'll give so many excuses. I don't have the time. I'm busy, children, family, work. I have audits, for example, in my line of work. I have audits almost every 2 weeks. So I always have a reason to say, maybe something is holding me back. And I've noticed that if I choose and I make it a deliberate attempt, many of these things tend to start and they work out for me.
So, so we don't belong in the 12%. We can belong in the 12% that starts.
True.
You also have to be honest with yourself. Being intentional about financial planning is being honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses. SWOT isn't reserved for the big organization. It's even for an individual.
Yeah, true.
There's time, whether we're honest or not, time is a factor. There's people who genuinely don't have it. So you can have the time to run some part of the business, maybe not all. So I've got a business which I co-founded with a friend. I tried to start it for 4 years. And there was just, the excuses were there. I don't want to lose money. I tell you how, I tell you where, you know, where the goods come from. I don't know how, I don't know anyone. I don't want to, taxes, I don't understand. Until I found someone who was equally like me, but had a strength on one end. Where I had a weakness, they had a strength. And where they had a weakness, I had a strength. So you complement each other. We complemented. So for me, just understanding the products and marketing them, that's easy for Flavia. Now knowing her inventory, what operations I'm not doing, and she's strong in that. And so we started a business. And then I sat and was honest and said, now my passion is in following my career. So we then put a mechanism, say, let's have someone who's the person who now runs the business. The operations does inventory updates us. So you find that in a month, both of us are only relying on the WhatsApp flow, right? Of this is what's in, this is what, and that is it. And I'm very comfortable and I'm very happy. Which also means the level at which I'm investing in that business is not going to be so, the risk is not going to be so high because my eyes are not constantly on the business. So I know if I put in too much, we're both giving the business to the other person, literally. So the chances of loss are there. So we can also talk about the limitation, I think that's the word, the limitations of running not just a business or any side hustle, a successful side thing. When you have a 9 to 5. Let's be realistic. Are you starting the business someday, leave the 9 to 5?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like we have to kind of think like that.
That also depends on you.
As a
because
person,
as you said, Flavia is a career person. So the business might be supplementary income for her career. Because for her career, I love the work I do. For example, as Flavia, I love media and all. So whichever the side hustle, I want to continue with my career. For me,
tell us.
People are watching me and they love me so much.
No, it's switched off. Unfortunately, we are off now.
But no, for me, take it for me, if I could have it any other way, the work that I do, I would wish to extend it beyond my own career because the skills that I have learned, people skills, the actual practical technical skills, I want to extend them beyond the food industry. So that's the
you have a timeline. That's all you can say about this.
I have a timeline, yes. So
which is most people though. There are most people watching us have that timeline. Let me just do this job for like 5 years. And then, of course you say 5, sometimes you're there for 8.
Exactly. You keep
but
saying
it's
this
okay.
year.
This year I am leaving. When I have enough money, I am going. But we've noticed there's never enough money. And sometimes you're using your salary to pay the salaries.
The salaries, yes.
This side, you're using this salary to pay rent.
The other side,
this side. And then you find that you cannot let go of this.
Because this will die.
Do you understand what I mean? I had a business partner. We actually it did not work. Because they were running a 9 to 5, using that 9 to 5 money
to facilitate
the business. But they were frustrated at their 9 to 5.
So they had to.
So it almost felt like, guys, hurry up and make this business work because
I need to leave.
I need to leave. Yes, I'm ready to leave this side. Why can't this thing pick up? Because I'm tired. So that timeline is something most people need to talk about. But limitations in doing both. The 9 to 5 and the business, does one suffer?
They can suffer. And there's something I always say when I'm speaking about this whole thing about starting business. And I tell people that anyone can start a business, by the way.
Starting.
You can. Anyone can. But not everybody can start a successful business. And I want to ping on what she has just said, that you need to systemize. Because when people interact with a business...
Let's also remove, because
I'm
begging from headmaster.
Yes,
headmaster doesn't want those words that stay here.
Trust me on simplifying things. I specialize in that. When I say systemization, I don't mean QuickBooks. I don't mean Monday.com. No. I mean people need to be able to predict what they're going to get out of your business. That's systemization. For example, like you said in the morning, when you come to NSSF, you expect time, efficiency, those things that I know when I meet Flavia or her business, this is what I will get.
Yeah.
And the sad part is, like she has said, we come from these big companies. You work with people who know what they're doing. They're highly technical, they're experienced, they're exposed. Yeah. And then you start your own thing and you underperform, which is very disappointing. And you expect people to keep paying you every single time. Because your own clients in your job will not do that if you did that. Yeah. So you expect to under-deliver and people still pay you. So one of the limitations are that in your 9 to 5, of course, you will suffer for the start.
Okay. So the suffering starts off on the other side. It starts off on
9 to 5. Why? Because if you don't systemize enough, you're going to run low on time, money, because now you're using your money to pay the rent somewhere else, the staff, the employees. Yeah. And then eventually your 9 to 5 also starts to suffer. And eventually you might end up losing both. So the success always starts in the systemization. How do I ensure that I, as Brenda, if I put something on the ground, someone who interacts with it will experience the same exact thing every single time they come here? Yeah. It's like we go to these restaurants. I will not mention names. But you know, if you go to a restaurant X, every single time you enter, you have high quality customer service. Or
the food is out at exactly within.
That's systemization. There's nothing complicated like, they have maybe a robot doing this. No. They know when you come here, you want someone to smile. Hi, Brenda. Happy to have you here. That's systemization. So if you can put that in place to know system-wise, I work from maybe, let me say, 7 to 9. My system is, after 9, I have 1 hour for my business to follow up.
Yeah. Is that enough, though?
Depends on the nature of business. Again, you apportion the time based on the nature of business and the age of the business. Because you will find, for example, I'm here, but I'm not at where my business is at, and it's still running. And if you went there, they don't even have to call me that you came, but I will know that you came. Systems and nothing complicated. It's a mere, like you said, maybe it's a WhatsApp message that we had Flavia as a customer. Basic things that,
because not everybody, especially this market, we're talking to small and medium.
Exactly.
We're not talking to the people who can afford branches.
Exactly.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now there are people who have families, for example, and now you've neglected that the whole week, and you're like, let me give it time. Your business is not going to be able to get to that sort of level of life. Yeah. Are we also suggesting that those who are in the 9 to 5, certain businesses are meant for them and others are meant for people who have the full time? I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying this is what it is, set in stone. I'm just thinking out loud. There are businesses I cannot touch. With the time I have these days, don't even bring the idea to me. You know? Even if you tell me it's 100 million every minute. Yeah. Do you understand what I mean? I'm like, there's no way that thing will succeed if I'm not seated there. Yeah. You understand? So is that just me thinking in a weird way?
It could, but again, at the same time, if you don't have the time, but you have the money, you can delegate. Because that's where she is. Yeah. She's busy, I am busy, but then you delegate. The unfortunate thing is we don't delegate, we abdicate, meaning you give someone the business and you run away. Yeah. And you're like, call me when you need something.
And it better be an emergency.
Exactly, because you know I'm very busy.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's wrong. Because remember, when you're starting these side hustles or businesses, they're family based on you. I love Brenda, that is why I'm supporting this business. I love how she talks to me. I love how Flavia responds to us. So many of the first customers you will get come because they love Flavia, they love Brenda, they love Reagan. That's true. And the hurdle is when you're transitioning to the point where now you need to delegate or to give someone else the template that you've been using to run this well-oiled machine. What do? We abdicate. You find Flavia, I like her, she's nice, she's my friend. Actually, she's my sister. And then you give her the business. Yeah. When you give her the business, we think we are delegating, but this is what you're doing. You're saying, she's good at maybe dealing with people. She will be okay. And then you give the business to her. All you do is to check in maybe once a week. How is everything? I hope everything is okay. If she doesn't call, you don't call.
Auntie busy.
Auntie I'm busy. but
we have a 9 to 5.
Yeah, but remember, this business was family founded on you. Yeah. To the point that you don't expect someone who doesn't have it in their fiber to carry these things the very same way you do from the get-go. Yeah. So abdication is what we end up doing. Yet proper delegation is, I will be with you along the journey to see to it that you learn these things, you master these things, you carry forward my vision the very way that I need it to be carried forward.
So there's a system,
systems, exactly,
of when do we get feedback,
yes, exactly,
when do we touch base,
and for any system, as you know, it's backed by data, and simple data. This is what my customers need. Put it in place. That's data. This is what the end user expects. That's data. I put it in place. So we often start these businesses. You don't get enough data, and you want it to succeed. What system is that?
Indeed. Actually, when I started the co-founding business for Kid Culture, I made sure I don't even the business goes before Flavia. Because unfortunately for me, that thing will happen where people come because of Flavia. And then when Flavia is, where is Flavia? I'll call back.
I'll come when she's there.
I'll come when she's there. So for me, I made sure it gets a life of its own.
Exactly.
And I almost look like I'm just a support.
Exactly. That's sustainability.
Because I've been burnt before. You know when you learn on the job. You understand. So somebody, I'm going to try and get your name so that we don't, we give you your flowers for what Maria. Asked a couple of questions. I think we've actually answered some. It's only two we've not probably touched on. Mistakes that people make when trying to turn their passions into a wealth building opportunity. Back to the other thing of now me, it's not branches or products, or it's me. You know, I have a passion for something, although ideally even it's a passion, you know, but you're turning it into a business. She's saying, are there mistakes that some of us will make along the way? Because we have our 9 to 5, there's a way we do things, and then you make a mistake because you sit thinking your passion is a business.
Thank you very much. And then the passion burns you, right?
You spend all your money trying to fix your passion. But how do we figure that a passion can be a business?
Business, like people say, okay, of course it's a general trend. Like, you know, if you go on social media, YouTube, you'll find everyone is telling you, you know, with your passion, you can start a business. But you'll find many of us, you inclusive, you have so many passions. I love music, but you don't want to listen to me singing. I will close that business same day. So the delusion is to think because I like something, people like it too.
Exactly.
There's, for example,
I probably met a few people who say they like it.
I like your voice. Some chances are they're lying sometimes. So, and the hurdle we have here is we are passionate about something, but you don't take the time to validate it. To know that people actually like it.
Do some research.
Exactly, research. Like I said, it's data. So personally, maybe I like to sing. So my mom, my sisters tell me, you're good, you're good. But your mom and your sister are not biased. They're biased, one, because they love you and they don't want to hurt your feelings. But the actual end user who loves the music you want to sing, they have not gotten the chance to hear you out. So you start, you get burnt. Next thing is, I don't want to start business. Business is hard. For me, I don't know. But for me, the thesis of starting a business, or the foundation of starting any business, is, am I solving an actual problem that people need solved and are willing to pay for?
Go slow on that one.
Because we start things and
because I could actually be solved. So again, learn from mistakes. The fingers have been
you
burnt.
could be solving a problem, but no one is willing to pay for that.
Some people are willing,
some people are willing,
not
but
scalable.
Not enough. The market opportunity, the demand for that is very small. I gave an example recently. Some dude went ahead and made edible phone cases.
I'm sorry, what?
Edible phone cases.
Why would we want to eat phone cases?
Thank you very much. Maybe some people are starving in the other places, so they said make something we can eat as we go to heaven. You get. Then he went ahead and made edible phone cases. But I'm telling you, perhaps some of his friends told him, that's a good
idea. Go for it, go for it.
But have you taken the time to go to heaven and ask people who are in the moment to say, if I give you a phone case, would you actually eat it? Are there enough people willing to eat their phone cases?
Anyway, I have so many questions.
But I love what Reagan has said, that look into the gap and see, where are you filling that gap? Is your business going to fit that gap, and are you going to get monetary value from that gap? Exactly. And I was thinking about our members, actually, when they get their money, when they get their NSSF at 50, 55, and they've not been in business for all this time. And maybe they also have a passion and say, now it is time to start my chicken business, because it's something, I did farming, or I know farming, or I've seen people who are doing farming, but have not gone through to do that research and see what gap, where are they going to sell this chicken. I'll share with you a story of a client I'll twitch it a little, of a client that we once paid, a very good sum of money, very, very good sum of money. And he had all these decisions to make with his money because now he has reached retirement, and you've given him that big check. Apollo was telling us some people have not touched that money, and there's money fever when it comes. So yes, he had a mortgage. I'm going to clear a mortgage. My kids at that point have reached university. I'm taking them to outside countries for university. So he panics when the money had greatly reduced, and then he had a brother who has been in the education industry for a very long time and says, let's start a school. You have land. I am a teacher. I've been a DOS. I can be the head teacher in the school. I'll bring children on. I'll bring teachers on. And then he puts the money there. But then what happens?
People are not coming through.
People are not coming through. And I think this happened, by the way, before COVID. So you can imagine where that took him.
It takes more than I just have the money. And that's also, I guess, there's another level, and we have a few questions right after this. There's another level to get to now. I look at myself, and for the past, let's say maybe 4 years, money is not the thing. The things that keep me awake like this at night are the second level of money. Not how will I make money. It is man. Where am I putting the money? How am I growing the money?
That area, maybe, Reagan, you'll tell me. But to borrow, to get like a salary loan, especially from a bank which has averagely 18%, 20% on a salary loan, and then you're putting it in a business that maybe you're even starting and you're not sure on the returns of that business and how you're going to pay it back, I would say go slow.
So is it the go slow on getting it, or go slow because you need a foolproof plan of how the money will come back?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying.
When are you ever guaranteed?
And then you're okay.
I know what she's saying.
Whoever brought this question, you're
with the systems we've talked about, you know how much you're making. For example,
Reagan, there is no foolproof way.
See, listen, Flavia. When you do business like her, she knows January generally is a good month for me. Generally, might not be, but chances are it will be because of the time I've been in business.
Yes.
So you know from the systems you have in place how productive your business is. So my take on this is not very different from hers. I don't always recommend people to borrow money to start a business. No, use your 9 to 5, save up some little money, start small. Validate the idea. See, is it something people are willing to pay for?
Yeah, I hear you.
Is the service good enough?
Yeah.
And if you've proven to get some consistent revenue from that idea or business, then I'll take a calculated risk, low risk, to see how do I scale to the next level. Don't have an investment of 1 million in the business. Then you're like, this is exciting. Get a loan for 500 million, 20 million. Chocola. No, my friend. The different levels of revenue demand different systems in place for you to sustain them. So yes, you can take a loan. I am for loans, but at what point are you taking this loan?
We're more concerned about for what?
For what?
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Because personally, I've also taken loans for my businesses because the levels I wanted to get, and for example, I need a particular equipment, and it's maybe 20 million. I don't have it cash. So I know from the revenue of this business, if I take a soft loan that requires this return, I'll be able to pay this back in 5 months. So good, I get it. But if I know I don't have means to have this paid back, I don't get luxury loans.
Don't touch it.
I don't get luxury loans of
they're offering.
No.
And you know those luxury loans, because now you have money, can now be diverted into other things.
Until the day you get the money is when, it wouldn't hurt to go and have a meal with on a date.
All of a sudden.
Tomorrow, since Monday will come, let's...
That is indiscipline now. That is indiscipline.
The bad manners they
spoke about.
So I have Mamboko Emmanuel, an art exhibition curator.
Nice.
Doing about half a decade of experience.
Okay.
Currently interning in an 8 to 5.
Okay.
You understand? And I've just 2 questions. Says, 1, how can I use my current internship and creative work to build a network that does both, that thing of the impact, then the income?
As she said, any serious business has a vision, but most important, it has objectives. Why am I starting this business? For example, on her end, maybe she wants to make education accessible to children. That's an objective. Are you getting the feedback that is making you feel like you're achieving that objective? Besides the money. On my end, it's making sure eye care is accessible and also affordable for many Ugandans. Am I getting that feedback, that data that confirms for me that actually my success points are being hit as a small business owner.
Yeah.
So for me, that would be one thing that they perhaps could consider. Sure. And then in the position that they're in, again, I want to touch on something that I feel is very critical when we're in such a position. That is nurturing strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
It's very important, because when you see Flavia is perhaps highly influential in this space, and I need perhaps to work or collaborate with Flavia in that space, I want to nurture that partnership, that relationship.
Yeah.
What touch points make sense for Flavia, for her to feel like we can maybe work on something together?
Yeah.
Pause. You just made a very important point.
Yeah.
Most people start nurturing that relationship from the other question of, me, what do I want from Reagan?
Exactly.
And you just flipped it and said it should always start with what does Reagan want?
What touch points make sense for Flavia? Because if you realize Flavia, for example, in art, and she likes nature and all those things, interest yourself in those things.
Yeah.
Because most relationships have levels.
Yeah.
Perhaps Flavia is above you. You don't expect Flavia to come below.
Yeah.
No. How do I interest Flavia? I have to find things that interest her.
There. Yeah.
There. So consider working on strategic partnerships for the clients that you have right now, for the business that you're working in. And I think that would be a good way for you to get started.
A lot of people have asked about tools in place, I guess the systems they're trying to look for them to manage both ends successfully. You understand? Because that's come up a lot. All the questions are asking, what tools must I have in place? I think Maria also asked the same thing. What are some resources or tools that can make me get started on my wealth building journey outside work? So now, assuming Maria maybe doesn't have a business at all, doesn't have anything outside the 9 to 5.
Some money.
And then you look at the other person as well, who already has the side hustle and the job, and they're saying, what are some of those things in reality that I can put in place to manage both ends? And you know, there's somebody who has who has employed people who's watching this saying, that's why when people lose focus. You know, they're busy telling them to go, you know. They're busy telling them to look elsewhere. Maybe even the people who you employ, you need to support them in a certain way. Yeah. I work in a very unique environment. You find that if Reagan is in my team, Reagan is a cameraman. You'll find that over the years, he's a producer. He can produce. So he has a chance for a second.
Hustle. Think.
And then you find that before you know it, he can edit. So now that's 3 opportunities to make money. So sometimes even the beyond the 9 to 5 is within
the 9 to 5.
Thanks. You know? But anyway, tools and resources on how we can, make both work. That's that one starting and that one who already went into it.
For now, I can touch on the issue of, like we said, when these businesses are starting, it's you. You are the heart.
Briefcase.
Yeah, you are the heart. Literally the bookkeeper, you're the marketing, CEO, all these titles, crisis manager, all those things. And over time, again, you realize that time becomes of the essence. Yeah. It becomes rarer and rarer.
You need to be there.
You need to be there for both your job,
of course,
and the business. And part of the things that I tend to encourage people to do is, one, adopt automation. Simple things. For example, the business I'm in, I have clients that need to be scheduled. If I was to manually write every single one person down, I would do that for the rest of my life. But something as simple as Flavia, you're coming in next week Tuesday, I just put in my Google Calendar, remind me. It saves me time. And people think
and we all have phones.
Exactly.
Well, most of us.
People have the illusion that they need to save hours first. No, you need to save minutes first to save the hours.
True.
So if I can save these minutes, they accumulate, they compound
over time
to eventually become an hour, 2 hours. So adopt simple technology-based tools. We have, for example, things on our phones, like something as simple as Google Keep. For example, if we're discussing something here, I could just record it on my phone for later to remember, and I'll deal with it later. Simple things that you have access to help you free up time, because as you realize, time becomes the most rare tool that you need, but you also do not have. Number 2 for me is always, if it's something that you really, really, really need to do yourself, do it. But if you don't delegate it. Yeah. Which pings into what we call the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule.
Yes.
You focus on the things, the 20% that brings in the 80%.
Yeah.
So find out those things you have to do to bring in the most results. For example, at my workplace, I know my 20% is perhaps a systemization of processes. I will not bother so much with who is controlling this, who's controlling. No. How do I ensure this process works together with this process? If I do that, rest of the things move simply and nicely. At my side hustle, I know the thing that I have to do is perhaps management. I will not get into customer service. I will not get into marketing. No, it's basically people management. If I do that, I will save up time versus if I had to go kodachi, ategwe, then you're like, I'm overwhelmed.
Guys, did you come at 8 or 9?
So at the end of the day, you say, I don't have any more time left for me. No, but that's simply because you're not prioritizing.
Right.
So it sounds very basic, but trust me, when you start doing these things, you realize prioritization it's actually the heartbeat of all these things. Knowing which wars to fight and battles to live is very important. You realize, okay, this I have to delegate to Brenda. Brenda can do customer service. She may not be the best, but I can support her to become what I want her to be.
Right.
Actually, I save up hours.
Someone said that one of the limitations on this is patience, a lack of patience.
But you see, Flavia, how we have an HR who is planning and trying to recruit the best staff and employees to do customer service, to do that to do. I think it's the same principle we also need to take in our business. And also they dedicate time to train us to ensure, because maybe at the time I joined, honestly, I didn't know that NSSF had sales, you see. But then they've trained me to understand the values and the goals of the fund. And now I know how to deliver them. Why not carry that then in your business? And those principles. So as you employ somebody, have you even dedicated time to say, now this is what the business is. Am I selling that vision to you? And trust that you now have the knowledge and you're fully equipped to meet my customers, and I'm not getting bad feedback of bad bad reception and bad experience.
The biggest business right now working, just find land and put trees. The land is already expensive.
The trees take how long to grow?
And Flavia, I would like to debunk that thing that it's all over social media. Someone comes and says, hey, we're investing in lights. You put 5 million, you get 200 million. And people don't do their own due diligence.
And you know how someone tells you, all of a contracted with this, come with me. You know, this is, guys, do your own due
diligence. Because people come back. I usually mention that story that I had when I was starting out farming. If you go on TikTok right now or any other platform, you'll find people selling so many things. Like if you put in this rabbit, let's put to lima bumio. But obumio maka gumu. Bugenda kuvamu bwabo. So people don't take the time to actually find out how does this work. And they just get the money and put in. End of the day, they're frustrated. They say, it doesn't work. Everything can work if you have the right knowledge applied properly, and then you ensure that you do exactly what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
But people just throw money at bad ideas and they expect them to magically.
And then what is the business stakeholder?
Business stakeholder.
But it's not, it's you. If this one says, how can I start a business in a place far from my work location? And they go on to say, for example, you work in Kampala, and then you have identified an opportunity up country, but obviously you can't keep going back and forth. If I go to Chinoni and I say, this thing works, then I get excited and I invest, but I'm, this side in Kampala, I'm not able to now. Delegating is also now too much because I'm barely going to be there. So I think that's what this person wants to know. How do I manage it in that?
I work in Entebbe. My business is in Kampala.
Baban. How do you do it?
Delegation.
Delegate. I work in Mbale. My business is majorly in Kampala.
So you have to find a way to let people in, because we have this fear. That fear is always there, trust me.
But
even with our employers.
Reagan,
let me be honest with you.
That's the truth.
Let me be honest with you, Flavia, because we're being honest. Even with our own employers, people go to those jobs and not steal, but take advantage of particular things that they see to enrich themselves in a good way. Not like go and take 500 million, but you see, for example, your current employer gives you maybe opportunity to undertake short courses. You go, voila, nice. And at the end of the day, you use them for your own benefit. Am I lying? You do.
But that's even by you having a side hustle,
Exactly.
You're using their time.
Exactly. So
thing.
it's an inevitable risk. It has to be there because you can read people, but unless you're psychedelic, there are things that you will not see.
Are you asking us to accept some risk?
You
like
have to
Headmaster
accept
told
the
us,
risk of human
don't
resources.
fear risk.
Exactly. The human resource risk is
yeah.
inevitable.
Yeah.
There will always be that one tomato who will flip you over and do some not nice things to you.
Then you learn.
Then you learn.
And
So maybe this particular trait, if I'm hiring someone, I have to be keen on it, but you have to delegate. It's like saying a parent, I don't want the child to go to school. They will compromise them. You have to let the child go.
Yes.
That is business.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to let that business in Gulu go for it to grow beyond you.
Yeah. So someone has asked, how can I efficiently manage human resource, which I think you just brought, because this one says, I've actually realized it's my greatest barrier.
Reagan, thank you, definitely. But before we go, homework. Headmaster always has homework, and I need to understand. What is it? What is that one thing, one video, one book, one billboard, one newspaper you can recommend? You think that has done something with you, for you, by you, I don't know, within you, without you, I don't know, that you can tell our people, to our viewers, our participants, to go and experience that one video book.
Yeah.
She's a book person.
Yeah.
She's also the president of the book club
in NSSF.
In NSSF.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
so Miss Madam President. Yeah, so she's.
Madam.
I know for you have quite a mouthful, but I would
Yes.
for the benefit of
Absolutely.
mine, of the non-readers I know, there are also videos, audios,
Yes.
billboards.
Yeah.
Yes. So there are people who are incapable of even reading billboards. So I'll start with Reagan.
Perhaps for me, it's a recommendation. It's a video I watched about 8 years ago by Warren Buffett. He said something very magical. I just want to make that statement. It changed everything for me. He said many people start businesses and things in that nature to satisfy customers. But those are not businesses that stay for long. Businesses that stay for long are businesses that are started to delight the customer.
Wow.
To make the customer feel, I am glad I came here.
Yeah.
I am glad I came for this webinar. You've
Yeah.
delighted me.
Wow.
Thank you.
For full disclosure, that's what I also go for.
To delight.
Yeah.
Delight,
the customer. Wow.
Thank you so much. We hope. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you so much, Reagan. Thank you so much, Fula, Bure, and Reagan. For NSSF, we are always going to be doing this. We shall always strive to have this discussion. And remember, ours is to talk. Yours is to act. The QR code is going to stay on there as we sign out for you to continue acting. I will continue doing this and I will continue getting paid. You do not get paid for continuing to learn, and you don't do anything. When you learn and act, you definitely get paid. I get paid, you get paid, we are all happy. And then we shall be neighbors in the Solana village. Thank you so much. See you next time.
All right.
Thank you.